Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the back office teardown lab. My car has an electrical problem where it is draining its battery over the course of a couple of days, and I believe it's something to do with the heating system. I've already replaced the Hedgehog, which is the final stage resistor, which is the easy part to replace if you've got a similar sort of problem, but now it's still doing it, and I reckon it could be this. So this is the climate control computer, I want to say, something like that, right? And I'm going to be looking into it because I popped it out the car and I've noticed suspiciously it says PCB rework. The first thing to do, of course, is getting into the unit, and that's always a little bit tricky. However, it does look like they provide these convenient tabs, and that's because these fascias in the car came with different models and different colours. So the first things first is to have a look and try to pop all these clips. And I'm going to be honest with you, they are damn tight. Got a little technique going now, just discovered. So the fascia is actually held here, here and here, and these other intermediary clips are probably for another sort of sub fascia. So that so far is okay. The way to do it is to lift the tabs up and then pop them down. So I'll show you again on the other side. It'll be the same process, I'm sure. Get the screwdriver in on the edge, lift that up, and then it just pops straight off. That's quite cool. So if you have to do this in car, you could do that. If you're just doing a fascia swap, you don't even have to undo any of the wires. And the wires, by the way, don't worry about. You can definitely not get them in the wrong way on these connectors. They're all keyed. I'm even looking at this white connector and the black connector. They're slightly different. Actually, no, they even have other internal keyways. You cannot get this wrong. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires. So there we go. So you can put this bit off carefully somewhere else. But if you were doing a sort of respray, that's a nice part, isn't it? You could take that off and do all of the interior like that. This has got this weird furry metallic strange paint, which annoyingly has come off around the cup holder. I think we need to find the walnut replacement. Right, so that's quite cheap and nasty feeling at this point. We've cut down to its core. So we're going to just pop the same things off now. Look, exactly the same process. Oh my word, look, hang on, just to show you. There's a little gasket on these. That's something you wouldn't want to lose. Let's pop those off now first. Those would be very easy to lose. Put them away. Don't know how important they are, really what they do, but they're there. Car companies don't tend to fit things unless they've got a purpose, because it costs money. There we go. They're not artistes. Right, let's do the other side. Okay, so that looks like these end buttons are a kind of sub-module a little bit. Be careful with them, you don't want to snap anything. I'm going to have to need some extra hands now at this point, but yep, we're okay. Again, I think by this point it's starting to be an out-of-the-car job. You wouldn't want to do this part in the car. So, now it feels good. It feels good. Wah, 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 wah. Just bending those last clips in with my finger. And you're down. Woo! Look at the filth in here. Right, good. This is all good, by the way, because if you need to just clean this because it's got a problem, I think you want to get this far. That is why you're going to have a problem. There's a little fan in here, and you hear it goes, a little squeaky fan. And it's obviously sucking air in through here and maybe out through there, or vice versa, sucking it in and out. And that's, I think, sampling, because there's a temperature, like a thermistor in here, and that's how it's sampling the cabin temperature to decide whether or not to put heating or cooling or any of those other things on. So my one had an issue where it was starting to blow cold a lot, and I had to have the heating turned up to max. I even bought new thermostats and everything for mine, but I wonder first if there's an electrical problem I need to deal with. So just taking off these little ribbon connectors, they just pop off, nothing too serious on that. I think we're going to have a look at this plate for sure, because it's definitely going to need a clean. Just to show you where that vent is, of course, on here, it's right there. See? Filth. And You could probably do that from outside actually, but that was totally blocked up. That could have been the cause for my initial AC problem. So that's what I advise you do just in the car. Just get a little brush and that and clean that out. That was totally blocked moments ago, but now it's not. So yeah, that probably will solve that and stop the car. Just try to think about that. So the car was putting out more and more and more cooling despite being me trying to heat it up. So I wonder if that makes sense. So maybe this gets blocked and the air was circulating inside the unit getting warm. It's weird, isn't it? Hard to know. Either way, I'm sure it'll be happier now. Again, if you've got the brush, if you don't want to go any further than this, just get in here, clean that and clean around that little thermistor in there. You see it right there? And what I'm going to do, as I'm in here now, and we can test this, I've got a multimeter. I'm just going to show you where I'm going to probe before I zoom out. I'm going to probe here and here because they look like the legs of the thermistor. I don't know what range it should be, but let's just have a little play. So we're seeing 11.55k. I'm going to add a little bit of heat. Not too much. Yowzers, that was a bit hot. There you go, you can see the current has dropped with a bit of heat. So I don't know if that's the range of the thermistor or not. That's something we could check, but it does look like the thermistor is working. So that's a good sign, of course. Very good start. Yeah, pop that back in the car and you're done. Now we're going to go a bit further on this unit, of course, because I'm pretty sure it's causing that current drain, and I do see this PCB rework. So let's have a look to see if we can see how the rework was done. If there's any clues at all on what part. Oh, and if you've gone this far, look at that dirty wheel. Get in there, get that dirty fan cleaned. Crikey. A lot of it was just non-oily dust, so you've got a pretty good chance of being able to clean that just from outside with an air duster. That's a good sign. Right, let's get the case away. And while you're at it, by the way, just clear all that out, that little plenamy manifold thing. So let's see what we can see on board. Are you going to focus? Maybe, maybe not. Definitely not. Okay. Thank you, camera. Right, so there's a number of chips on here and a number of, look at these ones, probably op amps, something like that with so many legs. We're looking for rework, remember. If I was going to cause a power drain, where would I cause it? I would be looking for things like maybe MOSFETs, maybe something like that. This guy here is looking a little bit tarnished, like something that could have been touched. But I'm not seeing anything massively obvious from a rework standpoint. I am studying, that's why I'm quiet. I'm just studying, looking at that. There's no signs of hand soldering on really any of those components. So maybe PCB rework might have just been a clean. We'll look at the other board now then. And I'm just going to look at it. It is double-sided, but I suspect most of the good stuff is on this side. Again, not seeing too much, but it's worth undoing these and popping it out. Got the screws off. Let's start. Oh, hello. Hello, you. Let's just put this kind of back. That's okay. Those are your buttony things. The only thing I would consider on this side is just to clean out again that port because it's got bust in it. Let me see if I can just... Yep, you can blow through. Now be a little bit careful because these knobs have these little actuator things. And I suspect, yes, they should all be set in a particular way. We might have, before we took this apart, let's see if we can get back in again. Yes, that's good. They are keyed, but I would say maybe switch all the knobs to one direction. Apart from these ones, this one just wants to rotate forever. So at least all the knobs are locked off. Now we'll pop this out. Let's have a look at this PCB. It's got a very interesting surface finish on here. It's almost as if it's totally finished in that graphite type material. I am seeing here a bit of a residue, a bit of an oily residue. I don't know if somebody's tried to lubricate this by spraying some WD-40 in the instrument panel to get rid of a squeak or something. That's worth watching. There's that thermistor, and as it's so easy now to clear, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a dose with some contact cleaner. There's no gunk on there. I mean, it is possible, if you've got enough dust and gunk on these things, and that's something we didn't consider, and that dust and gunk gets damp, that will affect the resistivity of that. And you'll just read wrong and you're going to get hot or cold, or you'll be blowing hot and cold. And those are your LEDs that surround your different displays. So you do have the option, if you want a bit of fun, to replace those. You could replace those LEDs. I'm just looking again closely just to see if any of those LEDs look like they've been reworked. I don't think so. It does look like they might be different colours in some places. And then on the back here, all's looking good. So I'm going to have to go and have a little scratchy head thing and think, if you were going to have a board that was causing a current drain, which one of these chips on both of these boards would you think about replacing? I've been through the board, I've had a look at the most likely culprits for anything like this, and I can show you. You have this one here. So if you've got the board this way, this one here is a 7805 regulator. So that'll be a 5-volt regulator, and I know when these guys fail, they tend to fail in a closed circuit and allow too much voltage through. So probably just swap that one out anyway. And then you have this one here, which is a BTS611L1, which is a 2-power channel switch MOSFET. So I'm going to target all the MOSFETs. In fact, this one, and these two are variants of all the same kind of high power, high current, smart MOSFET-y switches. And when I see that smartness, that implies to me that it might be doing something less than smart if it's gone wrong. So I would always consider just popping these guys off right away. So go on to Farnell or RS and order a couple of these. I think you might need 2 times of those. I'm not sure how much these cost, but let's say the whole lot's going to be a tenner, probably maybe less. You could swap those out. And then secondarily, if you're really keen after that point, it's still not doing anything for you or what you want, you could look at these caps, and I think those look okay anyway. I wouldn't worry too much about those. But you do have a number of these components here with the little 3 liggies. Have a look at the part numbers of these. These are all going to be voltage regulators of various kinds. I don't think they're power transistors or anything. I think they're just voltage regulators. You see there's a whole load of them on here. You're looking for things that cause this quiescent current, which is the current that the device uses when it's off or in standby to go up in an unexpected way. And any of these things that handle voltage conversion and things like that, if they fail, you just don't know how they're failing. They could be random and just doing that, ramping it up. Now Land Rover did have a fix for this, which was a harness modification which disabled, I think, this whole board. So when the ignition was off, it would just not power this at all anymore, like there's no power for you, and that would solve the problem. So it's definitely something up with those. I have tried to get hold of the schematics for that wire harness, and I cannot. If you do have one and you want to send me the wire, send me the harness, I'll be happy to try to work out what's going on with that. Looking at this board though, in terms of other options like programming and headers, all I can see is there are 6-pin headers here which look like probably the only programming clip that would have gone on this board. So I'm not even sure where the code would be, possibly under this big old chip. Again, not had much luck identifying what would have been rework. If I would have said the only thing here that looks slightly shinier than the rest would be this Infineon chip, this VC401869N13 chip. That is the only thing potentially. We should probably look that up actually, shouldn't we? Got more information on that chip actually. It's the TLE4728 part that's the interesting part, and it's a some sort of stepper motor driver, so it's probably to do with all the blend the blend valves. So perhaps that was changed. Maybe this device had an issue with the old blendage. So you get that, you know, you're trying to divert the air to different parts, head, shoulders, knees and toes, etc., and it's not obeying. Probably this guy. That's the one I would swap out. Okay, I'm going to wrap it all up, put it back in my car and just see if it made any difference cleaning that out. You just never know, right? You just never know. Fingers crossed, just having it good old clean, contact cleaner and everything and shoving back in. Maybe it might just do a little bit better now. Hope that's been of some use to you. Please like, share, subscribe and say hi in my Discord if you're feeling lonely. And as ever, thank you for watching.